Yeah. Right? And I'm not playing no games. Yeah.
Greetings and salutations, my friends. I'm going to have my glasses on for this one so I can kind of go through my notes. I am a noob at Indian cinema, but I will say I've watched Three Idiots, which is, I guess, a Bollywood film. It's a northern Indian film, I believe, and I'm enjoying it. I'm 4 for 4. This is a good film. This is another one that I can recommend. So this came as a recommend. For Americans, for a U.S. audience, let me explain. This is Goodwill Hunting, Dead Poet Society with a healthy mix of like Real Genius and Revenge of the Nerds or something. Like it's that kind of stuff. Good, fun. So let's talk about this. So these are the Three Idiots. The one on the far left is Farhan. He is on an airplane at the opening scene, gets a phone call, and then comes up with a reason to get off the airplane. And then Raju, when he's woken up, he races out so much to go on this adventure, he doesn't even put pants on. And the film centers around 2 or 3 sort of timelines or flashback sequences, basically, where these are college friends transformed by their experiences going to this elite engineering school, all 3 different kinds of backgrounds. And then several years in the future, where the film opens, they don't have any idea where that middle guy is. His name, he goes by Rancho. Where'd Rancho go? Nobody seems to know. Everybody's been looking for him, can't find him. And then finally somebody says, I know where he is. I know where he'll be. And that's how we start off at the races. The film has a lot of sort of ups and downs. It is kind of uneven at times. And I want to get through some of the pros and cons as I go along. So let me go through the story quickly. Chatur is he's like a VP of this big company. He thinks he knows where Rancho is going to be, and basically through the sequence of events, we flash back to when they all become freshmen at this engineering school. They're going through basically the initiation, the hazing, so to speak, and you have great sequences there where the one senior, which is kind of funny, guys, because if that's your intimidating senior. Colleges in America, man, it's definitely a different kind of group than your engineering school. Anywho, you have Professor Virus. It's his nickname, and he has this crazy, arrogant speech about a pen. And Rancho is sort of like the questioner of the group. So Farhan is. He's the kid that the whole family has rallied to send to school. He's the one that needs to do this. He has a lot to prove, but he also is not passionate about engineering. If he had his druthers, he would have chosen to go into photography or something like that. Now, Raju is the impoverished kid. He's the one that's got the paralyzed dad. A mom who doesn't feel like she ever gets any respect because she's juggling all of this, all the money going to keep the family going. And then there's Rancho. We don't really know much about Rancho's background, but he's quick to question authority, creatively, sometimes snarky, but fun. It's fun. So the early part is very, very fun. Like it's a lot about the college initiation. There's like the kid, the bully. It's going to pee on the door, but then, of course, Rancho comes with his way to kind of electrocute him. So it's almost like peeing on a cattle wire or something, right? So it's hysterical, right? And you get an intro to the dark side of the film pretty quickly with, Professor Virus, who's the director of the school, and some other teachers and professors have this sort of like very much that pompous, exaggerated element of who they are, and they all know so much. And we get this other character. His name is Joy Lobo, and he's not going to graduate, the guy says. He's just a complete jerk. They're trying to make travel arrangements for his senior's graduation. He takes the phone and says, no, he's not going to make it because. And there's this story about deadlines, and he didn't make his deadline, so he doesn't qualify or whatever. Anyway, so long story short, Joy Lobo self-deletes, ends it. And man, I felt like Dead Poet Society. Like this was hardcore, like roller coaster of comedy and silly, and then a hardcore message of like the pressure kids can have not living up to their parents' expectations and all that. And this is the two themes and messages that kind of keep going back and forth and back and forth. And I will tell you, there are a lot of movies that can't get this right, and this movie does a pretty good job. So for folks that are finding me or finding this review because of Indian cinema, I also want to try to touch on why certain things don't work for us, because not everything translates well. And I don't mean literally like in language, because for the most part, this was an easy film for us to follow along and keep track of everything and have a pretty good time, entertaining time. But for instance, there's musical sequences that are kind of very abrupt, and that it just doesn't work for us. We keep our musicals in musicals. We don't have these spontaneous dance sequences, and when we do, we have like musical montage. And that's why I thought about Real Genius, because Real Genius has, it's like this elite school the kids are going to, and it's full of like musical montage. Like there's a whole lot of really lazy filmmaking in Real Genius, because that's really the only criticism I can have for Real Genius is it's a very lazy film. Like there's a lot of just throw some music montage at it, or things like that, or we just the convenience factor of how certain things will work out. So that part is really, it's just hard for us guys, and I am struggling with that. This film, a couple pieces worked, couple pieces didn't. But anyway, it's all about the three guys and a virus, and it's a pretty good journey. All their films are longer than our films. We would normally have a film like this, it'd be an hour and a half to 2 hours. These are over 2 hours, so it's longer. So it's almost like there are several times you could think the film could end, but they kind of keep going. The problem with that is it kind of feels too long-winded. It's too bloated. There's a whole lot of stuff that we didn't have to have. And I thought about, because I was thinking about Dead Poet Society, which stars Robin Williams, I thought about another film he did called The World According to Garp. And I thought about how many people would describe it as a comedy because of these comedic elements, but it's very, very dark and heavy. And at times, it's just, there's almost too much in it. It's like it can't pick and choose. Our emotions is almost like going in two completely different directions. But I will say 3-8 does a pretty good job of balancing that out. Like it's pretty good. And there's some great scenes. Like I think that the way they did that shot, so Joy Lobo, we're going to have the big reveal of what he did to himself. You have it because Rancho has secretly repaired his drone, and he's going to show him that he fixed it. It's going to save the day. And then, of course, that's not what happens, right? And there's a musical montage that comes there. It's a one with the showers and the buckets and stuff. And it's like, the chicken is clueless about the egg's fate, and, will it hatch or become an omelet? It's about facing your fears and being anxious and all that. And I thought to myself, that's pretty heavy stuff. That's some powerful stuff. I liked all that. I really, really, really do. I don't know the music montage being so, not music montage, the musical sequence, song and dance was so over the top that works for me. But I will say the intentions of it works for me, if that's fair. So I will say that it also becomes very, very heavy when they interact, because Rancho really holds Virus accountable for this incident and says, the autopsy might show I'm going to have to change my language here, be careful. The pressure around the neck didn't do him in. It was the years of pressure being here at the school. Like you're doing something wrong, right? And school's part of the problem. Grades are the problem. All that stuff. So there's a scene early on about you're so smart, you can teach a class. And he has like a satirical sort of way there. And it's a lot of really good, heavy lines there. And thumbing his nose at authority, but like, you might be an expert at engineering, but you're not a really good teacher, was kind of the message. And boy, isn't that the truth, right? So Virus is an awful person in the first part of the film, and I think he softens, and obviously there's a major turn at the end, but he writes to their parents, and I'm like, is that a thing in India? You guys are going to have to let me know. Is that a normal thing? Like if you're an adult and you go away to college, does the college tattletale to your parents about what you're doing? Because if they had here in the States, we'd all be in a lot of trouble with our parents pretty early on. Like we did a lot of stupid stuff, and part of college is where you really start to mature because you're on your own. You got to feed yourself, get you where you need to get, not flunk out, do whatever you got to do, right? And I saw people falling away around me all the time. So anyway, again, another sequence, stuff that just took too long. I think sometimes, like there's the wedding crasher scene where Rancho meets Pia, I think is how we would say it, but turns out to be Virus's other daughter, and it was fun and it was fine. It's like I said, it's balancing the heavy with the comedy, and it's really a tough balance. And I have to give them credit because they did a lot. And I will say part of the reason it works is probably because there is a lot of time. A lot of time is spent having you fall in love with their backstories, right? Because they're poor, hungry college kids. They go to the houses, but they're in trouble because the school's called them. So, they go to the one and they're not allowed to eat. And it's like, what can they get? It's going to be bad because, anyway, it was all fine. Anyway, let's see. Raju's, let's see, is that right? Yeah, Raju's dad. Okay, Raju's dad is the one that's paralyzed. So Pia is a doctor, and he has a bout, and they need to get the paralyzed guy to the hospital. And I will say it was tough here because they're trying to play it serious because of the serious nature of the situation. But they like strap him on the back to get him on the scooter. And so it's played for like Weekend Bernie's jokes. So it is, I could really pick and choose here and be nitpicky with this stuff, but I'm okay with it. I almost wish there'd been a different way for the hospital, or he's at the hospital. I don't know. Because they're trying to play up the seriousness of saving Raju's dad and how much they went through. Anyway, there's a song right after that about the daughter and how hot she is and whatever. I didn't care for a lot of that stuff. So anyway, long story short, the kids are the guys are progressing through college, and you have this whole backstory of them trying to figure out what happened to this Rancho kid who's basically become like first in the class. And the other guys are at the bottom. And there's some moments of jealousy that's real. There's the class photo is there, and Rancho never stops messing with Virus, never stops messing with authority, talking about it like it's a caste system or something. So anyway, when they get through school and they have all this backstory, and you've learned so much about this journey that they were on, and then you cut right back to this journey of now, and you start to find out that they find Rancho, but it's not really Rancho. Rancho is a fake name. He's somebody else. There's like a bait and switch going on, right? And the story kind of goes back and forth. We flash forward, we flash back, because we have to learn how Rancho is scared about his feelings. We have to understand more about they get drunk and they go and vandalize the car, and there's another song in there. Anyway, the problem that we have too with that time is we had skipped over a key element, and the flashback takes us back there again, and that is Raju is sick. He's in a coma because he tried to do basically what the other kid did, because they got busted for their drunken adventure, right? Raju got identified, and he freaks out because his whole family, there's nothing left. It's pretty tough. It's good scenes. Those are good scenes. And there's a good montage of them constantly talking to him and trying to help him. There's this thing about, all is well, and breaking him out of that coma, right? And then it turns out pretty well, right? Because right before graduation, Farin gets his job, and Raju's going to go for his application, his interview, but he's in a wheelchair. But he's also like changed now. He's like realized he has a reason to live. He realizes that he can be strong and blunt and honest with people, and so much character development there. And it's like I love the Farin part where he's talking about, I can do engineering and make a lot of money, or I can do what I really love doing, maybe have a smaller house and a smaller car and be happy. And I'm like, man, kicking me in the feels with that one, buddy. Good job. So, it's really good. I think some stuff is a little bit contrived. There's some song stuff there it's like okay before we come back to the present, and you have sort of again more back and forth about is Pia getting married or not, and they got to bust her out of there, and that was kind of fine. And yeah, it was interesting because you learn more about the guys when they were in school, right? Because you find out Virus had a son. The son buckled under the pressure, and Pia holds him responsible. Anyway, the sister goes into labor. There's like this. This is where it gets contrived, and there's so much stuff, right? So anyway, in this scene, the sister goes in labor. The boys are trapped with her with Virus, and it's Rancho that comes up with this crazy invention, suction thing to get the baby out, saves the baby, and of course, it changes the relationship with Virus. So when we get back to today, there's a lot of gags, like all that kind of stuff's happening, but they basically track him down. He is, the famous inventor that they were all talking about, kind of like this name everybody knew. And early in the movie when it was dropped, you kind of pieced together that's who this guy really was going to be, but it was fine. And the journey was fine. It's played for, good jokes and good emotional journeys. All three characters have great story arcs. Virus has a little story arc. Pia kind of has a story arc. Even the dude they nicknamed Silencer because he has such nasty farts. He has a little bit of a story arc. It's fine. I thought the baby delivery stuff was like some of the more cliche stuff. It was just, that was probably some of the stuff. That and some of the songs were the parts I didn't like the most. I thought they could have played up that better with Virus passing out or something. Maybe would have made better with the baby scene. But anyway, and he changes on a dime with the baby. Like he changes on a dime of like, it's no more about you'll be an engineer, or you'll be a doctor. Like, oh, you can be a footballer because you have a strong foot or something. It's like it was just too abrupt and not handled as well. But it was a fine journey. It was fine. I know. I can't imagine the dubs in English for this kind of stuff. I hate how bad some of those sound. But I think it would be easier for Americans if we were able to get access to subtitled and dubbed versions, just because people are lazy and don't want to do it. And I think it's a lot of a journey of trying to get exposed to good film, good content, good pop culture, good characters, good writing, good direction, good performances. And this film had all of that. And just because it's a little cheesy, just because there's a few dance sequences and a couple of contrivances, doesn't mean we should bash it. So it's kind of like a, better than average. It's not great. It's not some end all be all of comedy or, coming of age or, it's fine. It's good though. So anyway, so that's my analysis of Three Idiots. I'm sure I have noticed I try not to talk about their names because all I'm going to do is mispronounce and butcher their names, and I apologize in advance for that. I'm still trying to get used to this. The cultural differences and boundaries of not trying to offend people because I really am trying to understand, not just be some token person. I love good storytelling. I love good filmmaking. And I will say this, as far as the film itself, if whatever their budget is, from a craft standpoint, they pulled off yeoman's work. I mean, shooting in the rain, shooting on different locations, shooting on the road, just incredible different characters, even like other professors. I mean, there was American films, usually you can see the lack of budget and stuff like that. This stuff is just really done well. There's so much more of the attention to detail that we used to see in older film that's kind of been gone the last few years. So I'm glad that the person recommended this to me, and I can recommend it to you guys. So anyway, so if you've seen it or want to see it, tell me what you think. For those of you that are a big fan of all of this, I appreciate all your feedback, and you guys can let me know. And, with that, I appreciate all of your time. I'm Pops.
Yeah. Rap Circle is finally here. I know